Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm going to be going over the kind of how I get a buy from the daily time frame, and this is really important to note. So right now, we have this fair value gap up ahead, and we have this fair value gap ahead, and I'm bullish until at least we hit this one. And why? Because usually these daily imbalances, they get filled, and by filled I mean like we'll go up here and reject and then go down again. So right now I'm bullish until we hit this, but we have a market structure shift here, and we have a bearish fair value gap that has a nice premium range. So premium PD right here. So right now I am bullish until we hit this. From then on, I'll see what price action does on the lower time frames, like the 15, 5, or whatever, and I'll obviously play that. But in the future, for the future, I am keeping in mind we have this daily fair value gap up here, which will be filled. Whether we fill it and then reject and go all the way down to yearly lows again, I don't know. But with everything right now, this looks very bearish already, so I'd be surprised if we make it through this bearish fair value gap and get up to here. But obviously, we'll see. So a lot of times on the daily, I look for volume imbalances or unfilled fair value gaps, and that's usually where my bias is. So in this situation, you can see we had this big wick from CPI, so we wicked under here, and on the way down here, you can see we left this volume imbalance. So after this wick down here, I was bullish after CPI. Why? Because we had this volume imbalance up here, and like I said, this will usually get filled. And basically what a volume imbalance is this close of this candle, which is 373.1, does not overlap with this open, which is 3730.4. So this close is 373.1, and this opens 8 points below it. So if it wasn't a volume imbalance, it would open above this close and then go up down there. So same thing goes to this. This close was 3680.7. This open was 3684.8. So you can kind of see they're 4 points off, and it leaves this gap here. So that's kind of what I'll look for. I'd also like to see if we're in discount or premium. So if we draw a fib from here to here, you can see we already hit premium for shorts. So that's why I'm kind of bearish when we get up here. So under here at this liquidity grab, I saw this nice push. I saw this volume imbalance up here, and I saw we were in discount the whole time. So I was expecting us to go hit premium. And a lot of times on the daily, we will go hit premium or discount if you're long. But we will hit that a lot on the daily. Sometimes on the smaller time frame charts we don't, but on the daily, most of the time I would say we hit it. But you can even see right here, there's a leftover imbalance here as well, which will definitely be filled in the future. And this never even hit premium. So this is probably a really nice short above right here. But again, we'll see. And we got this. I don't really draw trend lines, but this is low resistance liquidity, and I'll make a video on that soon. But basically, what low resistance liquidity low resistance liquidity runs are we have it's just basically a trend line. So if we get an uptrend or a downtrend line, that's basically a low resistance liquidity run. And a high resistance would be something like this, where we get a trend line up. So the chances that we break up here to this, because this forms a higher high and a higher high, is more high resistant, and we probably won't do that. So these low resistant liquidity runs, these trend lines with the lower highs, lower lows, or even the uptrend lines with higher highs and higher lows, those are low resistant, because once you break this low, it's very, very easy to stop people out enough to where we go this low. And then when you hit this low, there's even more stop losses. As in this one, there's only stop losses above here, but we already took these ones out. So it kind of makes sense if you think about it. So I like to look for volume imbalances on the daily time frame, and I like to see if we're in premium or discount in the bigger picture. And in this scenario, I was bullish knowing we were still in discount on the bigger picture. I saw this volume imbalance up here, and then when we hit up here and we filled this, I was bearish because we had this volume imbalance on here. And obviously, I can't prove to you, I was like bearish in live time. I'm just saying this because it already happened. But anyone who has traded with me, I've talked about these things during when it happened. So yeah, and I really don't have anything to prove to you guys. So Basically, I kind of like to use these and then fair value gaps for my buys. So we had this. We also had this daily fair value gap, and you can see we rejected it at first. We hard rejected this at first. But we were still on discount. We still took liquidity, so there's no reason for us to hit sell side from this again, because that would be the low of CPI. So we reject this, and we gap up. We make this bullish imbalance right there, this bullish volume imbalance. So once we filled this, I was kind of bullish again. And in the 4 hour, 1 hour, I think this was also a fair value gap. And then boom, what happens? We create another volume imbalance that we finally just filled yesterday. And I would consider this a market structure shift right here. So right now I am bullish, but I would also consider this a market structure shift down. So I'm bearish once we hit this level, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but that's kind of how I determine my kind of bias. And I also do look for fair value gaps. So if there's fair value gaps, I expect us to fill them. So even if they're small, you can see this fair value gap. You want it to be filled. So we filled this one. As soon as you fill it, we reject. We also kind of reject this order block right here. It's not the cleanest of rejections, but we reject there. And again, you want to be looking for a fair value gap. So even right here, when we retraced, we had an unfilled fair value gap. We filled it and then rejected. A lot of times these fair value gaps will get filled in the daily. Right here, this is a very, very obvious volume imbalance that was filled. And notice how quickly this was filled right after. The fact that this is so big, it was filled very quickly. We have a volume imbalance fill here, here. So these volume imbalances are really important to note, because chances are if you leave a volume imbalance, you'll often go back to that in the next few days. So that's kind of what's been happening the last couple of weeks. We leave this volume imbalance and we end up going back to it. We leave this volume imbalance and we end up going back to it. So volume imbalance is important, but fair value gaps are also important. You want to be looking for the unfilled fair value gap. So this is definitely something to keep in mind up here. If we do get another market structure shift, we should hit this and then reject. Not financial advice, but yeah, just look for the unfilled daily fair value gaps, even if they're small like this, and look for the kind of the volume imbalances, because I think both of those are equally important. And again, you want to make sure, like, if the daily is respecting these order blocks, if to your bias. So if you're long bias, you want to make sure they're respecting the bearish order blocks. Same thing if you're bearish, you want to make sure they're respecting the bearish order blocks. And I think I just said bearish twice, but you guys know what I mean. So you want to see respecting the bullish order blocks if your bias is bullish. So pretty straightforward, but yeah, that's how I kind of get my bias. I know it's very simple, but I think using these volume imbalances can help you a lot. And a lot of times, once you see these volume imbalances formed in the daily, go to the lower time frame and look for market structure shifts up. Look for the buy model. Like if you saw this and we were in this day, you would look for the buy model up. But again, if you don't get the buy model, then you're obviously not going to enter going up, because you need to use the lower time frame for confirmation. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and learned something from this. And other than that, check out my Discord. Link is in the description. And peace.